so after we have completed our button stands, we've done the top stitches on the button stands on both sides. Now we are ready to tackle the hemline at the bottom, yeah? So for the hemline, what we're going to do, we are first going to overlock the bottom. So if I open up my shirt like that, we are going to overlock the, show you, there we go. We go overlock from one edge all the way to the other side. And then we're going to iron upwards the hemline. We're going to iron him up 2 centimeters, yeah? We're going to iron him up 2 centimeters from one edge to the other edge, so it will look like that, yeah? And then once we've ironed him up, we will then stitch him down here in the middle of the overlocking from one side all the way to the other side. So that will be for the back, and then the front, the same thing. We will take the front panel, we will overlock the bottom, the hemline, and then we will iron him inward 2 centimeters as well, and then we stitch them down. And the same applies to the other side. So that's the hemline, and once the hemline is completed, we will then do the cuff. Yeah, so let's just do the hemline real quick. I'll go overlock, I'll go iron them up, and then I'll show you guys in the next video. Yeah. So after we have overlocked our edges of the hemline, and then we've ironed it inward 2 centimeters. We've done that for the front, and we've done that for the back of the hemline here. So now we are ready to sew down this hemline on the inside of the shirt. We will sew in the middle of the overlocking from one point all the way to the other point, yeah? So let's go for it here. And then we're going to do a back tack as well. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So now we just sew right in the middle of the overlocking. Let's zoom in a little bit more. There we go. Right to the edge, we'll do another back tack, and 3, 1, 2. Zoom out, boom, there we go. And there is our back completed, guys. We've done the back hemline. That's the inside, and that's the outside here. Cool, so we will do the same thing now for the front, for the 2 fronts. Alright, so we will just repeat it for the other side. So we are finally at the cuff area here. So we're going to prepare the cuffs. So the first thing that we want to do is grab one of the cuffs, and then we want to discover what is our right side and our wrong side of the fabric. So in my case, this is my right side, and that's my wrong side. So we're going to fold the cuff in half, yeah? Fold them in half. And then we're going to do a finger press just to keep them down to create a crease. And then what we want to do on the edge here is we want to fold them upwards 1 centimeter. and press him again, finger press. Or you can jump on the iron, but we want to finger press him down, yeah? There we go. Once we have finger pressed the cuff over there, now we're going to start sewing from the top all the way till that point, and not all the way down to this one over here, the bottom cuff, but we will stop on the top cuff, yeah? Lower it onto our foot of the machine, lower our needle into the fabric, do our back tack, 1 to 3, 1 to 3, making sure that your edges line up, and then we're going to sew all the way to where that 1 centimeter ends. Just a little, 1 to 3, 1 to 3. And once we have done that stitch, you see there, we stopped 1 centimeter before. Now we're going to grab our scissor and then we're going to cut a 45-degree angle. Like that. And then we're going to repeat the same thing on the other side, yeah? And we have done that already. And there we go, that's our one side, and there's our other side, and we've already cut at 45-degree angle. Once we're done like that, we will take the cuff, turn it inside out, use our scissor just to poke out those corners to make it a little bit sharper. Don't poke too hard, guys, you might just poke out the stitching. Just a little bit, there we go. Once we have done like that, we will just press in flat by hand, and then now we are ready to sew the cuff onto the sleeve. Cool, in the next video. Alright everybody, so we are ready to sew the cuff on the sleeve, yeah? So we're gonna go towards the vent, where the vent is, and then we're gonna sew that little bit. Here we go, hopefully you guys can see on the video. You see that little overlap there? We want this point that's not folded in, that raw edge, that's the part we want, the raw edge. You take that raw edge, we go towards the sleeve, so this cuff is going to be placed inside of the sleeve, and we're going to sew the cuff from the inside of the sleeve. So I'm pushing the cuff into the sleeve, as you can see, and now I am ready to sew, and we're going to sew edge to edge here, cuff and sleeve. Let's do that right now. I'm at the machine right now, placing the cuff to the sleeve, and I'm sewing from the inside, yeah? And keep in mind our seam allowance is 1 centimeter, so you want to stick to that, guys. Let me zoom in here real quick. Back tack, 1 to 3, 1 to 3, and then we sew all the way from there, all the way to the other side. Let's do that. Hopefully our battery won't die. Right till the end of the other part of the cut of the sleeve. There we go. Back tack. All right. So now we are ready to push the cuff to the outside, and we will just finish off the cuff by doing a top stitch on the outside. That's going to be our next step, guys, in the next video. Cool. There we go, cuff is almost prepared. So after we have attached the cuff from the inside of the sleeve to the outside, now we are ready to just do an edge stitch to keep the cuff to the sleeve, yeah? So that's what we're going to be doing right now. So the trick here is where you've done your stitch line, Come on, Mr. Zoom. There we go. Your first line, that line is gonna be the guide if this thing. There we go. Come on, focus camera. So that stitch line is the guideline for us to use this point to just overlap by 2 millimeters. Yeah, we want to overlap it by 2 only. So take the folded area of the cuff, check where that stitch line is. There's my white stitch line, and then just overlap it by 2 millimeters, and then we do an edge stitch on the end. Yeah, there we go. Lower your needle into the fabric, straighten out the cuff and the sleeve so that you can overlap that stitch line by 2 millimeters. All the way to the end. Do the back tag and and there we go, everybody. There is our edge stitch. If my camera can zoom, there we go. So there we go, our cuff is prepared. Nice and neat on the inside. We will just clean up afterwards. But that's what we are rocking, everybody. And now we are ready to prepare the collar. Cool. In the next video.